nicely after its earnings gap. Last week, it just completed a flat base with a 80.95 entry. Really super quiet week in terms of earnings. The only noteworthy report would be Oracle after the close today. Oracle is showing pretty good action. I mean, it's got a nice relative strength rating, holding near highs, testing its 10-week moving average for the second time. Oracle reports after the close today in a pretty good technical setup ahead of the results. So that's what I have for you, Allie. Send it back over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Ken. Now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to be taking a look at Thinkorswim from TD Ameritrade. This is the NASDAQ composite with candlesticks. Justin, give us your thoughts on what went down last week with the NASDAQ coming down to its 21-day line by Friday.
Well, David Ryan pointed out in a text to me how one of the things that was making him a little bit more cautious was the fact that we kept on opening up strong and fading by the close. It was just happening over and over and over again. So for as much as it's great that we're opening up today, the big question is, can we hold it? And just looking at the index, it does seem like the 50-day line would be an interesting level of support. Certainly, if we got support here at the 21-day moving average line, that would be great. But my preference, actually, if we're going to do it, let's go ahead and come down to the 50-day, because if you look at the 50-day moving average line, what is that, like right around 1480, 840, something like that. That also corresponds to a lot of congestion, like in the July, through August 20th period or something like that. So that just seems like a great spot for it to get support. And so again, market doesn't do what I want it to do, but if I had my druthers, that's where I'd like to see it come down to. Similar for the S&P 500, it's getting down to a level roughly, it undercut its 21-day, so it's trading back above it right now. We'll see if it can hold it, but you go down to that 50-day moving average line, and that seems like it also coincides with a lot of congestion right there at the end of July. So again, that would be kind of, again, my preference. So we'll see. It's one of those things you have to. I did lighten up a little bit myself. I had been selling some into strength, lightened up a little bit with the hopes of the market coming down a little bit more, and then having more cash to deploy for reversals. But again, we'll see if that happens a little bit quicker than I expected.
Okay, so Justin wants more pain in the market. Harold, how is your portfolio positioned at this time?
Like Justin, I am lightening up a little bit. I've got some nice profits, so I'm starting to take some off the table, because I think the uptrend is kind of long in the tooth, and would like to see a pullback. I was looking at the same area on the NASDAQ and the Qs as Justin was. You had that top on the NASDAQ right around 14.8, 15,000, right around in that area right there. So it would be nice to see a pullback there. That would be a real good support area. And like Justin mentioned, that would coincide with the support at the 50-day moving average.
So Ken, let's talk a little bit more about underneath the surface, what happened last week. For growth stocks, not performing well were some names like DocuSign, Square, some of the other software names, in particular, notable damage there. But do you think we are also seeing a number of compelling setups at this juncture?
Yeah, I mean, we are. They're not in great supply by any means. I thought when Roblox was moving Friday, it was looking pretty good. Looked like it was ready to take out a buy point. But the market weakened late. It was a pretty nasty sell-off late Friday during the final half hour or so. But you can see this chart is still very much intact, and I still consider it a breakout candidate. So, I mean, there's no doubt that the setups are in shorter supply than they were, whether it's a pullback to the 10-week moving average. I mean, you had Crocs is CROX is making a nice test of its 10-week line, and it was in buy range by the end of last week. So you're seeing isolated stocks acting well. Like the guys, I definitely took defensive measures late last week. I probably started off the week I don't know, 85% invested, something like that. I'm back down to maybe 65% at this point. So taking my foot off the accelerator, looking for setups when they emerge. And, I mean, we're still in a confirmed uptrend, so I may nibble small at some, but I've definitely been taking, more money off the table lately than putting it back on.
Right. And like you said, Justin, it all depends on how this day progresses and how we close. But steel makers are
There is
on
reason
our
for
radar.
suspicious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's take a look at US Steel, as you mentioned at the top of the show, ticker X, down right now, just shy of 1%, but setting up here.
Yeah, so I'm going to change my mind, Right, exactly. It was one of those
Not
I was looking a little bit better at the
but one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, again, it's still I think one to keep an eye on, just because again, it's if it can get support here at the 50-day moving average line. And one of the things we were looking at is, hey, is this, again, the steel stocks have been one of those that they'll pull back, then they'll come back, and there does seem to be this rotation under the surface. Another area, we did talk on Friday about SMH. A lot of the chip makers were also looking strong. So we talked about SMH being a possible play. Now that one did fade by the close. It was looking strong when we were on the show on IBD Live, but it certainly faded. We also talked about, hey, if you want a little bit of extra juice, you could always go for SOXL, which is the triple leveraged, and that's what we did on Swing Trader. We put SOXL on, and again, you can see that it really faded, by the end. What we did was we did a smaller position size, just because, again, it's a triple leverage, so had a little bit of extra risk, but we wanted to also have a little more participation in a potentially larger move. So a lot of the chip makers are looking strong today. AMAT, Applied Materials, that one, it had been going flat for a long time. A lot of these chip makers look the same. They were really strong on Friday. Looked like some breakout areas from shelves and stuff, but ended up weak. I think LRCX was another one. Lam Research, that got up to its 50-day moving average line, got turned away, and so we'll see if it can get back above there. What was another one that I was taking a look at this morning?
Integris. Ed and I mentioned Integris, ENTG, and the Chip Equipment Group. That's near the top of a little consolidation here too.
Again, one that looked like it was coming out of a little area of congestion on Friday, but then turned tail. And what is it? KLIC. That one was looking. Oh, I'm sorry, KLAC. Can't read my own
other
writing.
Semiconductor equipment stock with a very similar ticker.
Yes, exactly. KLAC. That one, looked like it was trying to break out on Friday. That one is looking a little bit. And this one, I would say I'm maybe a little bit more hesitant on, just because I feel like Thursday was the day, for this one.
Yeah.
At this point, I wasn't thinking of this on Friday. It just seemed extended to me on Friday.
Right. Okay. So do you think SMH is still actionable here, or what would be the best way if you wanted to get some chip exposure? AMAT, as you mentioned, trying to get back above that 140 level, but it really seems like it's the 142 area,
right,
that it's bumped up against quite a bit.
I mean, I do like the SMH or SOXL play, but again, this is one of those things where at this point we've got an inside day, right? So it's a little bit tough to get a lot of conviction when you're like, oh, I'm just kind of hanging out right now inside that fairly large spread between the high and the low on Friday. So yeah, this is one where if it can hold here throughout